All right. Hi, everyone. We have a really nice panel here about L2s and the interoperable layers of Bitcoin. So I'll be the moderator. First, I'd like to start with use cases. Most of the talks here are about layer 1, and Bitcoin is so awesome. Why do we need those L2s? What are the use cases? Maybe we can start with Michael at that end.
The use cases for layer 2 is they're manifold in a sense that the first layer 2 we had for Bitcoin was Lightning, and its main promise was scalability, as in make payment scale. Don't be limited by the 4 mega weight unit blocks, the 1 megabyte blocks, but actually have some more throughput and make payments work. But in the last couple, mainly year or two, there have been different intentions like more programmability or even privacy, which are different focuses compared to Lightning.
What's your take, Steven?
Yeah, I agree. Bitcoin just doesn't work for payments, right? It's a good monetary system because it's very trustworthy and stable, but transactions are very slow and expensive, so obviously we need something else. So the second layer space started off with trying to make payments work instantly and cheaply, and like Michael said, with high throughput. But expressibility and trying to get different applications on top of Bitcoin is also something that the layer 2 space is exploring a lot. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. It's getting payments right, an actual payment experience, but also seeing if we can use this layer as a programmable money.
Well, long story said shortly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and allows programmability on Bitcoin. So that's why it exists.
So I kind of see 3 main common topics here. So first topic would be scalability. We need payments to be faster and cheaper. Right now, of course, we have very low fees on-chain, but that was not the case a couple months ago, or maybe about a year ago, when we have huge spikes, and sending Bitcoin could be $10 for a simple transaction. Also, you don't want the payment experience, someone there waiting 10 minutes to have a coffee, just to confirm. And some merchants also, they don't like to just have one confirmation. They want 6 or 3. So you'll be standing there for 30 minutes to 1 hour just to pay your things using layer 1. So layer 2s can bring that scalability, and we could even say maybe a better UX for users.
Yeah, definitely. Payment user experience, as you said, is much better for Lightning. That you don't have to wait for a block, which is literally rolling dice. Could be in a minute, could be in an hour, depends on how lucky you are. That experience is just horrible for payment, especially in person where you wait to get your coffee. So Lightning is amazing at that. On the other hand, we lost so much programmability with Lightning, because in the end all it does is payments with these hash time lock contracts, and it's the only thing you can play with in Lightning. Either the payment goes through or it goes back. We lost so much expressivity, programmability in Lightning, and I guess that's what the other layer 2s that are up and coming now are trying to regain.
I don't know if you want to say something about expressivity.
Yeah, but I completely agree. The layer 2s allows us to experiment also the Bitcoin in a cheaper way. So we have a project running right now that's called Escolita Bitcoin, and it's amazing to see how Bitcoin can also be used for teaching purposes. So they can learn to kids how to send, receive, without having to pay, $15 for just a simple transaction. So layer 2 has allowed us to make the payments instantly, but also giving more user cases around the educational themes, gaming, and this kind of things around the programmability.
Before moving more into programmability, I just want to give an opportunity for Steven to say something about payments and scalability with Arc and what you are building at Second.
Thank you. Now, I kind of wanted to also talk a little bit about the expressivity, because actually I think in Bitcoin we can do way more than that we actually are doing right now. right? Mostly because when we use Bitcoin right now, we mostly use Lightning, and we use it for payments. But actually on Bitcoin, you can already do things with DLCs, where you can actually have some kind of programmability, but because it's so slow and so expensive, people don't really do it. People try to build this on top of Lightning, but it's just horribly complex. And with Arc, we kind of have a second layer that is topologically more similar to what Bitcoin does than for example, Lightning, where it's totally different. So you can get back a lot of that programmability that Bitcoin actually already has, but it's just too slow and too expensive to use. And in Arc, you can do them in a second layer level, so it's way cheaper and faster, but you can still use things like DLCs, multisigs, time locks, and those kind of programmability that Bitcoin already has. It's still very limited, but I think actually we can already do a lot more than we're doing today.
So let's move to the second major use case, which we kind of hinted already, which is programmability or expressivity. I myself at Alpine Labs, we're building what we call a BitVM bridge. You guys might have heard of a clock bridge. And the whole idea is that a lot of use cases that you have seen throughout the conference so far, like borrow against your Bitcoin or even yield, you cannot do that self-sovereign using just layer 1 because you don't have the expressivity or the programmability because it needs a bunch of soft forks, and good luck soft forking Bitcoin. It's really hard. So that's one of the reasons why users move to layer 2s, because you could do those things. You could do more stuff with your Bitcoin, and you don't give up full custody of your Bitcoin. You have better safety or security assumptions of how your Bitcoin is going to be used for those use cases. I don't know who wants to go first. I already gave kind of like my intro pitch on more programmability, expressivity. I think Michael is
yeah. I completely agree that on the layer 1 Bitcoin we have today, it's the use cases for programming it are very limited, as in we have a couple primitives, and even for the things we can build today, like Lightning, we did a couple soft forks, but it doesn't look like there is a willingness anymore to do soft forks for new ideas and new proposals. So I guess what you are doing with the BitVM is kind of magic, because you can have arbitrary computation proven on Bitcoin without having to completely change it and revamp it from scratch. So we get lots of features that we can play with, experiment with, without having to give up custody of our coins, while being still limited with the conservative changes of the layer 1, which is super cool considering it's an actual layer 2, while the previous ones that were attempted on Bitcoin, mainly Lightning, just gave up on programmability completely. This is the exact opposite direction, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the main focus of Alpine is not at all to scale payments, but to just make it more programmable.
Yes, so we at Alpine and the Glock bridge and most BitVM bridges, rollups, scaling can go to 30, maybe 50x. If you go with something like Arc or Lightning, you are like thousands or I don't know, infinite x, depending on how much batches you do. But yes, that's not the main use case. The main use case is expressivity, programmability, and do more with your Bitcoin. I don't know if the other participants want to go over on programmability or expressivity.
Yeah. Basically, when you have programmability on Bitcoin, it empowers the users to integrate any kind of new scenario not seen by the traditional layer. But the trap on that is it makes Bitcoin sometimes pretty complex to the end user. I mean, I want my mom to use Bitcoin in a good way, and it was really, really hard to explain Bitcoin to her. So you can imagine how should I teach her how the layer 2 works and how the programmability works inside the Bitcoin. So what I see as the big trap over there is how the friction goes into the way that it gets really hard to the end users, but it solves a really big problem into the Bitcoin. And I think it's really promising technology. What you guys are doing with BitVM, just like Michael said, it's magical. I don't believe that this even exists.
Thank you.
I don't see that it being too complex is a huge problem, because like your mom just uses a web browser normally, I guess, uses an email client without understanding what the underlying protocols are. Once these ecosystems mature and have good user experience and have a good reputation of being reliable and trustworthy, you don't have to understand every intricacy and every detail that's going on underneath. It's just a good user experience that you can rely on, which is, in my opinion, good enough. Because I don't understand every detail of the Bitcoin layer 1 itself, let alone BitVM, Arc, or Lightning. And you don't have to, because when it's a reliable, trustworthy ecosystem, that's, to an extent, good enough.
I partially agree, but partially disagree. Like, yes, your mom doesn't have to understand, but a sufficient portion of people have to understand.
Yeah, like a critical mass that can critique the details, but not every single one having a wallet needs to understand what exactly every detail underneath is.
I mean, when I tried to explain to her about Lightning, I had to say, hey, you have channels, you have the routes, and if the channel goes down when you enter the elevator, you know what happens.
Yeah, you need a whiteboard and like half a day's time to get into penalty transactions and stuff.
Try explaining to her like liquidity. If you don't have good UX, some users will have to manage channel liquidity, which is really hard. I think we can move to a third use case, which is a really interesting use case, which is privacy. So as we know, Bitcoin is not anonymous, it's pseudonymous, but once one of the links in the whole UTXO chain is doxed or is de-pseudonymized or de-anonymized, pretty much all other links, they are probabilistic de-anonymized as well. And so users move to layer 2s in search of more privacy. I don't know who of the participants wants to discuss privacy in layer 2s.
Maybe someone can start with Lightning. I mean, I can also do it.
Yeah, like I can touch on Lightning real quick, just as a basic comment that I don't think we'll ever see like huge Bitcoin soft forks or hard forks to improve privacy on layer 1. That ship has sailed long ago and it's not even a topic anymore. Maybe with CSV or CISA. But in the grand scheme of things, we'll have to go to layer 2s to get proper privacy. In Lightning, the one thing that we do have is the privacy for the sender of the transaction. When I receive a Lightning payment, I don't know where exactly it's from. For the recipient, it depends. There is some proposals going around with the bold 12 blinded paths, some fancy cryptography, to also make the receiver private, that the sender doesn't know who exactly will receive the payment. But in general, with the way Lightning is structured today, with your LSPs or swap services, it's not a privacy solution. It's not that great. Because if you delegate your pathfinding, your routing to an LSP or a swap service, they know who you are paying. So it's not a privacy solution that solves all your problems. It's better than having an immutable ledger, but it's not something I would recommend if you really want to hide your payments.
I mean, I have a little bit of a different opinion. I think privacy is a very large spectrum, right? And not everyone that seeks privacy because they're doing illegal stuff, right? Most people just don't want their friends, their family, the people they send transactions to know how much money they have. And I think that's very normal. That's nothing criminal or something. And Bitcoin is just the worst. Like if I send someone money, they can see where the money came from and how much is in there. It might not be all my money, but it might be a large portion of my money. So like Bitcoin is the worst when it comes to privacy because everyone can see everything. They can try to figure it out. It's not all there written like by name, but you can try to figure some stuff out. And Lightning is already a giant improvement because the only people that know anything about your payments are the people involved in your payments. Most of them will not kind of know anything of that's going on. Maybe someone might know where something is going, and maybe if someone is trying to attack, they might figure some stuff out, but it's still someone who needs to, on purpose, try to figure stuff out, and it's not just you receive a payment, you go see how much money did you have. There. Exactly. And with Arc, it's a similar question, like the Arc service provider, like Arc is a client-server model. The Arc server provider knows all the payments that are going on, but no one else knows any of the payments that are going on. So still, if you're transacting with someone, all the people you're transacting with will have no idea of how much money you have or which other transactions you are doing, while maybe the server might know, but the server also is a big company, and they obviously have an incentive to protect your privacy in some way. Sometimes they might not have an incentive to do that, but still, it's only one party that knows. It's not the whole world that knows. There are some technical things we can do in ARC to also make the server not know your transactions. They're currently not really, they might be possible even without governance, but they're still not on, I think, either of the ARC's roadmaps right now. But yeah, I think already having just one or two parties that know what's going on is a giant improvement from everyone being able to see everything.
Well, in the perspective of the user, I think the privacy is the natural evolution after what we have seen and talking about not your keys, not your coins. So at this moment, I have my keys, I have my coins, but I also want to make my transactions just for me. So I want to keep it. I need to have authority of what I'm showing to the other guys and into the network. So as the representative of the Clever wallet, we also see it as a good point for the layer 2.
I would like to, I don't know, maybe close or maybe open more bottles on that privacy topic by saying that, I don't know if everybody knows the definition of privacy that the cypherpunks defined. That was one of the main inspirations for Bitcoin. Privacy is the ability to selectively reveal yourself. So I really like payments or even stuff that you do using Bitcoin to give you that ability, that if you want to review stuff, you can. Otherwise, it is unrevealed. It's private. So privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is the ability to selectively reveal whatever you want about an address, a transaction, or even a relationship between buyers or between Bitcoiners, for example. I don't know if you guys want to go on that one, or we can move to another topic.
I have a question about this topic, just to put the sauce on this conversation. How do you guys see the AML and the government pressure over this privacy thing? Because they will not know what's being transacted over there. So under the government perspective, it will cause panic.
Well, yeah, then my story becomes a little bit worse, actually, because if the government can actually go to this one party and say, hey, tell me what all these users are doing, you obviously have a bigger problem. So, for example, when it comes to avoiding taxes or even just paying political parties that you shouldn't be paying for your government, stuff like that. But I think the world maybe is distributed enough that if you're like living in a authoritarian regime like Venezuela or something and you want to pay, you just don't use the Venezuelan payment provider, right? You just go somewhere else. So I think it's still distributed enough, but yeah, in that for being fully private, you obviously need fully private solutions, but I think for most people, being somewhere in the middle of the spectrum is sufficient.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's in the end all trade-offs. What are you optimizing for in your transactions? Are you optimizing for the maximum of programmability where you lose all the privacy and scalability? Are you optimizing just for payments and their speed and cost? Or are you rather looking for something completely different to optimize for privacy? Like there is layer 2 proposals out there, like the shielded CSV, that literally their whole point is privacy. They don't optimize for anything else but that. So what we are seeing right now is like this emergence of a very vivid bandwidth of different layer 2s that just set different focuses on depending what you need. There's like all shades of gray on all the three scales of scale, privacy, and programmability.
I do have a hot take on that one. Speaking about privacy on L2s, I go with the assumption, and most of my colleagues at Alpen go with the assumption that if you have information, if you build something, that you are able to give user information or confidential or sensitive information from, I don't know, good actors like governments, if you think they are good or no, it's your problem, or even bad actors like North Korea hackers, they will come after you. So instead of not be evil, you do it cannot be evil. So you build something using open source, you build something that there is no way you as a layer 2, you can reveal that information because you don't have access to that information. That information only the user can reveal. So us at Alpen, we value a lot privacy because if you go to our docs and you go like how to deploy a smart contract on the upcoming Alpen rollup, you see that it's not an ERC token vanilla tutorial. It's how to deploy Tornado Cache. So we have how to deploy Tornado Cache in our docs. So I think that speaks on how we view privacy. But yes, the whole idea is cannot be evil. So you build stuff taking into assumption that you'll be compromised either by good actors or bad actors or neutral actors, and you just build stuff in a way that you cannot be compromised. That to compromise you or to compromise privacy of the users, you need to compromise the whole users and not you. So you don't create like a honeypot or a very good choke point that you are a target of actors. I think we can move to another topic. As you might seen, we have several L2s. I want to put in a question here. Do you guys see the L2s as a zero-sum game, or do you see something as we can grow the pie together? How do you guys see the competition or cooperation amongst L2s? I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, I'm probably gonna take some topic from both. Like, I definitely think there's space for many layer 2s for different purposes. One very important thing that I find is that if we use the layer 2s for payments, we obviously don't want to create silos that you can only transact with people in the same layer 2, right? Because that is a bad trend, where then suddenly this layer 2 has like a lot of power, and if it would fail, it would cause big problems for the whole ecosystem. But I think we're in a good space where Lightning and swap providers like Bolts kind of bridge all the layer 2s so that it becomes like one homogeneous pool of like people interacting with like the Lightning network mostly. So you can pay across different layer 2s. From Arc, you can use Lightning natively. So if you're in Arc, you can just pay anyone who's on the Lightning network. I think other layer 2s could also like integrate with Lightning. I think Liquid is kind of trying to do that as well, so that just Lightning becomes the glue a little bit. And then if there's like specific things like trading, loan platforms, prediction markets, all of those things, if they are like specific to one layer 2, I don't think that's too bad, as long as the money can move freely from application to application. Yeah, so that's my opinion.
Yeah, in the Clever Wallet perspective, we want to be the end layer to the end user. So we already integrated the Lightning platform, the Lightning network, sorry, and the Liquid one inside the wallet on an easier way. My mama even can use it without any friction. And the most important part is that it's self-custodial. For us, it's a non-negotiable theme. And we are keep heading up to add more networks to make this ecosystem viable to everyone. So we want to make crypto something really simple. And we are connecting all the pieces of the Bitcoin ecosystem into the wallet to make it possible to just go into the stores, download the app, and well, I already have a Bitcoin, Lightning, and Liquid, and Arc, and anything address inside my wallet, easier.
In the end, what we envision is like, as I said before, there is so many trade-offs for all these different solutions, and it shouldn't matter when I use Arcade, Steven uses the second Arc, you use Liquid, and then you're on the EVM. There shouldn't be any friction between all of those ecosystems. In the end, what we are all doing is moving around the same asset, and doesn't matter what exact thing we're on, where our coins live right at this very moment. Lightning is emerging as this one common way to invoice and send value around, because it's this open network that is developed by different companies with an open spec protocol, which is like a very unique thing for a layer 2, that there's different implementations and already an established ecosystems of wallets and liquidity services, different service providers. And in the end, what we are all doing in the layer 2 space is trying to get some kind of connection to Lightning to not create an isolated silo of everyone talks to each other in a nice way, and then there is this other thing that we don't want to interact with. It's in the end, what we are trying to build a way to communicate and send value across these layers in the most seamless and easy way, which I think is a positive sum game for everyone. It's growing the pie in a sense because I can take a loan against my BTC on Alpha on the EVM chain, pay some sats to Steven on Bark, use my arcade wallet to pay the Lightning invoice for a beer. It's in the end a nice ecosystem and a nice win-win-win for everyone involved if we don't try to fight each other in every step of the way, but let people use what's best for their specific need.
Yeah, I also agree. I think it's a grow the pie situation here. For us at OpenApps, for example, we do see a huge volume in the future of activity on our rollup coming from swaps or coming from interoperable stuff and not coming straight from L1 using the bridge. So this is something that we definitely see. And speaking about Lightning, that was developed by a bunch of companies, and one thing personally that I think, and it's not Alpen's opinion or this panel opinions, but personally, I'm very uncomfortable seeing Bitcoin having only one client, and the specs. It's almost impossible for you to create a new client just using the specs. You have to go to C++ code. Even the RPC errors, you have to go to a C++ header file to see what the error codes are because they are not documented elsewhere. Whereas Lightning, you have like a rich diversity of clients. You have clients in several programming languages, in several implementations, and you can most create a new client from scratch by just going over the bolts and the blips specifications in Lightning. I don't know if someone wants to comment on that one, or if we move over.
I think it's a side effect of like Bitcoin Core not being spec'd out, but just written. And there is so many edge cases, weirdnesses, that you just like, pretty much the spec is the code that all of us are running today. And we've seen in the past with like the BTCD chain halting, and which is like basically the only other node implementation people are running. It's like impossible to go from implementation that's like has lots of technical depth and history to a spec, while Lightning is pretty much the other way around, where we first write the spec and then go to the implementation. There is still issues there, like for example the up and coming C# implementation with, and Lightning. In the process of like rewriting a Lightning implementation today, there were so many tiny little and bigger things found in the spec that were just not clear, ambiguous, or simply put wrong, that they were different in practice. So it's really hard to have protocols that are interoperable, even when we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yes, and a huge shout out to Nicholas from Lightning to path forward with the whole let's go from the spec to client without seeing how other people are coding to see how it works. We are getting close to the end of the panel. We are in our final 6 minutes, so maybe we switch from like the future. What do we expect on not only the interoperable layers of Bitcoin on L2s, but also from companies or networks that each one of the participants are involved in. Let's start from that side and we go.
So for the future, like in 2023, we set our mission to like bridging the Bitcoin layers. And back then it was a rather niche thing. There was a little bit going on Liquid. In LATAM, there was a couple people using Rootstock, and there was this Lightning thing. It was like not that big of an ecosystem. And we basically took the bet that there is going to be more of these layer 2s coming. And it seems like that bet has been working out nicely because there's so many emerging new ecosystems, and the mission statement is unchanged in a way that we are still trying to bridge the Bitcoin layers and have a seamless way to interoperate between them. Recently, we launched to get on mainnet with the Arc Labs team and their arcade implementation, and that has been working out nicely so far. You know, when you launch on mainnet, a couple bugs are expected, but like we are working hard to improve the experience and developer tooling. And yeah, we are also looking forward to like more BitVM-based layers, because that's like what seems like the next frontier for programmability next to Arcade.
So yeah, from our perspective, we talked a lot about how Lightning is like the glue between all the layers. Unfortunately, most users right now are using custodial Lightning because running a self-custodial Lightning wallet or node is just very complicated for users. Also for developers, it's quite complicated to build Lightning implementations. So what we're doing at Second with our Arc implementation called Bark is try to make it as easy as possible for developers, but then also for users using our developer tooling to provide Lightning payments. So be part of the Lightning network without having to do all the hard parts that Lightning requires. So there's no channels, there's no liquidity. All of that is done by our Arc server. So yeah, we're trying to up the game for Lightning implementations, for self-custodial Lightning wallets to exist, to be built without all the hassles, and just be part of the Lightning network, be part of like this entire network of all the layer 2s where you can pay using Lightning. We're planning on launching on mainnet at the end of the year. We still have a bit of work to do, but yeah, we're very excited because we already have a few partners that are building mobile wallets, web wallets, desktop wallets on top of our developer tooling. So yeah, it's going to be a very exciting year next year for Arc. Arcade already launched a month ago or something. So yeah, it's going to be very nice.
I hope to see Arc in Clever Wallet really soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to have a beer all together and put everything into the Clever Wallet. But for Clever perspective, we already launched Lightning and Liquid on an easy way, just like I told you guys here. And what I see for the future is integrating all the protocols inside the wallet to keep it simple and make the possibility to users go in and out on any of the protocols inside the wallet without any friction. So in that way, we have launched also the Bitcoiner maximalist version of the wallet. So if you download it today, you can create the wallet without any shitcoins inside. So you will see only Bitcoin, and it's really important for us. So I think the future is promising on that sense. We are happy about what we are doing, but there's a lot of work to keep integrating the next layer 2s that are being deployed into the market. Also BitVM.
Yes, we are coming. So we at Open Labs, we are finishing up development. Go check us out at openlabs.io. We have a very good paper and also white paper from our Glock bridge, which enhances the BitVM bridge. And we are also building a full expressive programmable rollup on Bitcoin called Alpen. And we are also planning to have shielded CSV as one of the ways for you to peg into Alpen from Bitcoin. So full privacy, cyberpunk approval. And go check it out. We are planning to launch mainnet 1, milestone 1, first quarter, by the end of the first quarter next year. Check us also on X. We also have a YouTube channel, so openlabs.io. Or find me throughout the conference to ask you to probably give you more details about how Glock and Alpen works. I think that's it. We have 1 minute left. I would like to thank the participants of the panel. Thank you, Michael, Steven, Marlon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And just to the crowd over here, we are giving free Satoshis at the booth at the entrance. So go over there, download the Clever Wallet, and earn a few sats to try over the wallet on Liquid, Lightning, and this kind of thing. Also, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.